Hello and welcome to my demo and review of this, my Goemons or Musoo acoustic guitar. I bought this off of AliExpress at the start of 2020 and it was a long, bizarre ordeal over, well, who hasn't had a pretty crappy 2020, let's be real. These guitars are very underrepresented in the grand scheme of things. If you want to find any information on them online, there simply isn't very much. So let's crack right on and we'll start with the spec. We have a standard 6-string jumbo body. It is a mahogany neck with ebony fingerboard, 6 spruce top with Indian rosewood back and sides, and my tone wood amp of course, but in fact I can take that off for now. But yeah, absolutely wonderful. East Indian rosewood back and sides gives it a nice bright shimmer to it and a nice warmth that I mean anyone who knows the tonal properties of rosewood likes rosewood. So curly, in fact quite flamey maple binding throughout the entire body. Genuinely very surprising how really curly these binding bits are. Really nice. Ebony bridge, rosewood cap with a custom logo. Hopefully the camera's picking that up and not my face, but it says Alien because you can get a custom logo put on these things for $35 I think it was for me, and I'm quite the Alien fan, so why not? Scale length, obviously this is a multi-scale instrument and it's one of the key defining features of this instrument. We have a 25-inch scale on the treble to a 26.5 on the low end. Now I have this guitar currently set up in D, so a little bit lower than normal, but I think it's kind of apt that I tune it down at least a little bit for this demo so you can get an idea of how it sounds in those lower tunings, because with the extended lower end the idea is that it holds those lower notes better, keeps the tension in the strings, keeps the note more true to itself, and it doesn't bend itself out of tune because you've trying to get a low note with too thick strings over too small a distance, and you know, physics and all that sort of stuff that I'm not going to go into. In short, multi-scale gives you the best tension in the low end without turning the upper strings into cheese wire and cutting your fingers open. So you get the best of both worlds. And I think it sounds wonderful. From a playability point of view, this is an 1.5" fan and the parallel fret is here, the 12th fret, right smack bang in the middle. And I have quite a few multi-scale guitars. I tend to play 7-string electrics most of the time. I usually tend to stick to a 1-inch fan. You don't really need much more. You can go to an inch 2 inches at the most, but anything over that, you're kind of screwing yourself, honestly, in my opinion. But then it's all personal preference, isn't it? So each to their own. I personally prefer 1-inch fans. This one is 1.5 inches, and because it has that 12th fret parallel, I do notice it down here. For example, playing this chord, you can probably see it on my index finger there. I end up right over that fret. Now, I don't get that buzzy feeling, but I can tell that I'm right on the edge sometimes. So I have to keep that in mind when I'm playing. That being said, it is incredibly comfortable throughout the entire length of the neck, all the way up to the top, down to the bottom, and it is literally only in this bottom corner that I ever really notice it. Like going for the F, I actually do have to kind of angle backwards. It's the only time I do. And even then, it's absolutely fine to do it. So it doesn't really bother me too much. I mention it as if you're new to multiscale, expect a little bit of stretching down here. You get used to it. You get used to it very, very quickly. I only have multiscale instruments because I think they're just superior, in my honest opinion. Again, opinions and preferences. Let's talk tonal properties of this guitar. Because with that nice top, jumbo body, the rosewood body, and the mahogany neck, and the ebony fretboard, all combines to be a really nice classic collection of woods that works super, super well. And this thing, it absolutely sings. It's lovely, it's low it's got a low growl to it without going whom over itself, and the high end, it sings out. All the acoustic you're hearing, obviously, is this guitar. Recorded into Cubase with this microphone, a little bit of EQ just to kind of take out some of those boxy frequencies where you're hearing the microphone more than the guitar. I'm pretty happy with it. It gives a pretty decent representation. A little bit of reverb, a little bit of compression just to bring the levels up, and that's pretty much all I've done. So there is a good chance that you found this video because you're interested in one of these guitars. Perhaps you found the Musoo brand and you're looking for reviews of some of their other guitars online, and you happen to have found this one. Maybe it is this exact guitar you're looking at, because since I made this one with them, it started out as another model that they have. I made quite a few changes: the rosewood, the front, we changed the bridge, we changed the holes, no inlays, headstock shape, quite a few things throughout. They ended up making it a new model, and they've uploaded it since I got it onto AliExpress and eBay. So there's a link in the description if you actually just want to order one of these guys. Don't blame them, to be honest. I'm really, really impressed with this thing. So if you're here, chances are, like I said, you're interested in one of these guitars. And there is that risk of ordering a guitar from China or overseas in general. It doesn't really matter where you are or where it's come from. If you're ordering a guitar from overseas, you don't get the opportunity to really ship it back unless you pay for it, and it's so expensive and risky to do that. You're just not going to. Let's be real. You will be stuck with whatever you get. Chinese guitars are quite well known to have shitty fret jobs, and it's the cheap ones that do that. This is not a cheap guitar. This thing did have some problems with the frets. I hate to admit it, but it did. Very minor for the most part, as you can tell. It's all good. The main issue I had was the 18th fret. Right here, which... Let me hold it up to the camera. See if you can get a good look at that guy. So just around about here. The 18th fret, this one, in fact, is not on straight. For such an amazingly well-built instrument, they done fucked it up at the end. One of the frets is a millimeter out. I've measured it. It's a millimeter out on the treble side. It's actually in the right place on the bass side. It's just a little bit, tiny bit too close to the bridge up here. This is the only fret, and it's the 18th fret, which on an acoustic is way up here. Yes, I do play the odd pass up here, and if we're going to be honest about it, tone and frets are actually approximation. They're not exactly where the note is. Look up true temperament frets if you want to know, the details of how to get an exactly in tune guitar. And let's be real, acoustics are not well known for being perfectly intonated all the time. By the time you're getting up here, you got some slight variations in the intonation and whatnot. Some are better than others. This one is actually really pretty good. So when it came down to it, really, actually, it's not really a problem. It's a cosmetic thing that kind of bugs me, and in their defense, it's a hand-built instrument, and like all the woodwork on the body, around the binding, all up around here, around the bevel, the rosette, everything is so well built. It is a mastercraft of what am I trying to say here? It's really built well. What can I say? They've done an astoundingly good job, but they just fucked it up right there at the end, which was a real shame. But hey ho, there was always going to be something, and that was it. It's the only issue. And since I've had it about, so I ordered it in January 2020. The world then really started to crap itself because of COVID, and I had to wait 6 months to get it. Technically it took them 5 months to finish building it after they got shut down and reopened. Was shipped out in May, and I received it in June, and it is now middle of September, so I've had it for a couple of months, and I can tell it's kind of like maturing, I guess, like a nice cheese or a fine wine, and it's getting used to being an instrument and resonating, and its character and its just feel and vibe is starting to come alive, and it's getting used to being an instrument, and that's just a really nice thing about acoustics. They age and they mature, and old acoustics have some of the sweetest tones to them just because they've settled into what they are as an instrument so well. So really looking forward to the next few years with this thing to really see how it just, you know, chimes and shines in that high end and maintains that low grunt in the low end and all sorts. I'm really very, very happy with it. So let's lead that to my final thoughts then. If you are interested in one of these guitars and you're going to get it with ship it with a case, and be prepared to take it to a guitar tech if it's needed. Because the only real issue you could potentially have with ordering a Chinese guitar, or a guitar just overseas in general from one of those cheap brands, is that there might be some dead spots on the fretboard somewhere. You might have the odd high fret. All you have to do is take it to any kind of competent luthier, guitar technician, guitar repair place. The vast majority of them will do fretwork because it's not an uncommon thing for them to have to do. It's actually a very simple process for them to level frets and repolish the surface of them to get rid of dead frets. It's not even that expensive. Maybe, let's say for argument's sake, around about £100, maybe a little more, maybe a little less, depends who you take it to and whereabouts in the country you are or what country you're in. So that's what I would do. There is always a risk, but like I say, order it with a case, be prepared to take it to a competent tech if you need to. You might have the odd dead spot on the fretboard here and there, but it's a very easy thing to take care of if it comes to it. Overall, this thing is fantastic. I'm super, super impressed with it, very happy with it. It was worth the wait, and despite that one issue I had there with the fretboard on the 18th fret being out of alignment, you know what? I don't mind. At the end of the day, those passes that I do play where I go up this high, I've never been able to tell. You know, I've never been able to hear it, and I never will. So I like modding and changing my guitars. Even this one, I actually bought an Ellipse preamp pickup system and put it in it when I got it. Literally within a couple of hours of getting the thing, I was drilling holes into the back of it and installing the Tonewood amp, which is a fantastic addition to any acoustic, by the way. If you're looking for something really, really cool, spice up your acoustic playing, pick up a Tonewood amp. Actually really, really cool. So expect more videos on this thing. I'll do the odd cover every now and then. So that's it for this video. Thank you very much. Hope this has been helpful, and until next time.